Drama awaits, only on Echoes of Love. The adventure begins with a young man named Mario, a medical student who excelled greatly in his studies, with only 2 years left until graduation. Mario was in love with a girl who worked as a news reporter. When Mario returned to the house where he lived with his sister, he found her sick. He told her that he had to take her to the hospital immediately. But at that very moment, the girl he loved called him, asking him to come and save her because someone was dying. Mario was torn. Should he take his sister to the hospital or go to his beloved? His sister begged him not to leave her, but unfortunately, he did and went to the girl. Mario then arrived at the hotel where his girlfriend was, and found a man lying on the ground covered in blood. He told her to turn herself in, assuring her that she might be acquitted. But she was terrified, knowing that if she did, she would lose her job as a reporter, her biggest dream, and if she lost it, she would take her own life. At that point, Mario decided to turn himself in instead of her and told her to run away. Indeed, she left him and ran away, then went to someone and handed him an envelope she had taken from the man she had killed. Later, Mario called his sister and apologized, telling her that his friend would come and take her to the hospital. Then the police arrived at the hotel, and Mario was sentenced to 5 years in prison. 6 years later, the story moves to Japan with Mario, where he offered money to a girl and told her he knew she was using men and stealing their money. She confessed but said that she truly loved him. Mario believed her and managed to take a large sum of money from her and return it to the man she had deceived. He was doing all of that just to get his own money back. Afterward, he left her and boarded a plane with his friend, returning to Korea. During the flight, a girl suddenly collapsed on the floor. Her name was Eun-ji. The flight crew asked if there was a doctor on board to save her. Mario went to them, but he didn't really want to help. His friend, however, urged him to save her, just as he had saved his sister in the past. Mario eventually agreed to treat her. Her condition was critical, so he asked for her guardian. To his shock, the guardian turned out to be Jan-hee, his ex-girlfriend, the one he had gone to prison for, who was now responsible for the girl. Mario didn't want to treat her, but she evoked his sympathy. So he decided to treat her and gave her first aid before leaving. After the plane landed, the girl was taken to the hospital, where they managed to save her. As Mario was heading back, he got out of the car and started walking alone, remembering his childhood days when Jan-hee had come to him asking him to hide her from someone chasing her, and how he had taken care of her wounds back then. He also remembered their university days when they would walk together and spend time side by side, and he felt sorrow for her betrayal. The next day, Jan-hee was with her assistant, scolding him for letting Mario get involved in Eun-ji's life. At that moment, she received a call from one of her company's employees, telling her that Eun-ji had withdrawn 1 million won. She ordered him to keep an eye on her, as she was heading to Mario's house. But Mario wasn't home. He was at the hospital visiting his sister. There, he blamed her for abandoning him and going to Jan-hee, which made her condition worse. Jan-hee learned that treating Mario's sister cost 10 million won every time she got sick, and that was why Mario had resorted to fraud and crime. When she asked why they hadn't moved away, she was told that Mario had been waiting for her return, and that he couldn't believe it when he found out she had gotten married and left. When Mario returned home with his sister, he discovered that Jan-hee had left but had given his friend an envelope containing a massive sum, 1 billion won. Mario grabbed the envelope quickly and ran out to catch up with Jan-hee to return the money, but he couldn't reach her. Jan-hee returned home, where she met her stepdaughter, Ji, who asked her why she had given Mario 1 billion won. Jan-hee replied that it was a reward for what he had done. But Ji told her that she was watching her, that she didn't like her, and that she wanted to kick her out of the house and take revenge because she was the reason her mother had been expelled. She added that Mario had become her pawn and that she suspected everything that happened was a joint plan between them to get the money. To clear her name, Jan-hee told her stepdaughter that Mario had been threatening her because she knew that Eun-ji had been using drugs for 6 years, and that he was about to expose her. In truth, however, Eun-ji wasn't the one using drugs, it was her boyfriend, but she took the blame for him in exchange for his help in saving their company from its troubles. Jan-hee called her ex-boyfriend, who was now married with children, and told him that she had taken the blame for him because she loved him, not for the company. But he didn't believe her. He then told her that Janhi herself had filed a complaint against Mario, accusing him of blackmail, and that they needed her testimony in court. At that time, Mario went to Janhi's house and returned the envelope containing the money. But when he came back home, he found 2 policemen waiting for him. They arrested him and took him to the police station, where he saw Janhi, who actually confessed that he had been blackmailing her. Then the focus shifts to Eunji's father, who was scolding his daughter for her many mistakes at work. He told her that because of them, she would never become the company's director, and that he might appoint Janhi as director instead. Mario spent that night in jail but was released the next day after his innocence was proven, because he had returned the money to Janhi's house. When he came home, he didn't find his sister there. He learned that she had fainted the previous day while he was being arrested, so he rushed to the hospital where she was lying. He felt that everything that had happened to her was his fault, so he decided to take revenge on Janhi. His plan was to get close to Eunji. When he found out that she loved motorcycle racing, he decided to join her in one of the races. They kept competing until Mario's path was suddenly blocked by wooden planks. He fell and couldn't get past them. Before Eunji could celebrate her win, her bike's brakes failed, and she couldn't stop. She fell off a cliff. Luckily, she grabbed onto a tree branch and tried to climb back up to avoid falling, but her hand slipped. At the very last moment, Mario caught her and saved her. After climbing up, she broke down in tears, wanting to go back down to retrieve her motorcycle because it had a doll on it, a gift from her mother. She insisted on going down to get it, but Mario brought a rope, tied it, and went down himself to retrieve it. He reached the doll and took it, but as he was climbing back up, the rope snapped, and he fell. He was rushed to the hospital, and fortunately, he survived. Eunji visited him afterward to check on him. The next day, during lunch, a doctor called Mrs. Min Young and informed her that Eunji's father needed a transplant. She decided to donate to him, but he scolded her for doing so without his permission. Janhi then said to him, "Take care of your health so you can remain the company's president in the future. I'll be the one to donate to him." Janhi managed to win his sympathy and convince him that she loved him and was willing to sacrifice for his sake, when in truth, she was only after the company, and soon, he decided to hold a wedding ceremony to officially announce his marriage to her in front of everyone. When Mario returns from the hospital, he doesn't find his sister there. She sends him a message saying she's at their mother's house and asks him not to go back to deceiving people just to pay for her treatment. As he's about to leave, he runs into Eunji, who got his address from the hospital and came to repay him for saving her life. But he tells her he doesn't want anything in return. It's obvious she's just making excuses to see him, since she started to like him, but he walks away and leaves. Meanwhile, his sister calls him because their mother's husband is hitting her and demanding money from her. Mario goes to her, and Eunji insists on accompanying him, so she gets in the car and refuses to get out. When they arrive, it's already late, so he goes to Chaco's mother at the restaurant where she works. There, her husband shows up. He had just been released from the police station after Chaco reported him for beating her mother. He starts hitting her again, so Mario steps in and hits him back. Then Chaco's mother also strikes him, until Chaco tells her that Mario is her brother. From this point, it's hard to tell who's with whom, and maybe that's fine, because even I didn't understand it myself. After that, Mario goes to sit alone on the beach. Eunji comes to him and tells him she feels sorry for him. Every time he gets out of one mess, he falls into another. Then Chaco's mother arrives and tells Mario that he should take Chaco with him because she has no money to care for her. And besides, she chose her husband because he'd been with her for years. Mario gets angry and tells Chaco to pack her clothes. Chaco's mother then asks him that if he ever marries her daughter someday, to call her and let her know. But he refuses. She starts crying and leaves, and Mario takes his sister with him in the car. Chaco starts crying, so Mario plays sad music for her, to help her cry even more. Then the scene shifts to Janhi, who goes to her husband's assistant at the company and starts talking about her relationship with her husband. She confesses that she committed the murder and regrets what she did to Mario. Then she starts drinking, and after she gets drunk, the assistant takes her home. At the same time, Mario goes to Eun-ji and asks her why she trusted him even though she doesn't know him well. She admits that what she said could put her in danger if her husband found out, but tells him that he loved her more than her husband ever did before, and then she kisses him. Mario witnesses them, and Janhee is shocked when she realizes he saw what happened. When Mario drives Eun-ji home, she asks him to meet her tomorrow because she's starting to feel attracted to him. He leaves her and walks away. Then the story moves to Chako, who participates in a singing contest. When it's her turn, she gets nervous and can't sing in front of the audience. But when she's alone, she tries to sing for a little girl. Though hesitant at first, she finally manages to sing, after asking for a photo of the singer Jae-gil, Mario's friend, revealing that she's a fan of his. The next day, Mario goes to Eun-ji's company, where he meets her, while Janhee is also present. During their conversation, Eun-ji's father walks in and asks his daughter about the man she was with. She tells him that he's her boyfriend, so her father decides to invite him to lunch to get to know him. At the table, he asks Mario about himself. Mario tells him that his father used to sell drugs, that his mother helped him, and that when he grew up, he started using the same drugs they used to sell, and that now he's looking for someone to sell them to him. He also tells him that he was expelled from college. The father asks him why, and while they're talking, Janhee takes Min Young's hand. Eun-ji's father notices this and gets angry. He orders Janhee to get rid of Mario, even if it means sending him to prison. Later, Janhee meets Mario and offers him a large sum of money in exchange for leaving Eun-ji's life, but he refuses. He tells her he came back to take revenge on her and make her poorer than she's ever been. Then Mario goes to Eun-ji and tells her he isn't upset about what happened, that he's ready to go to prison for her, and asks if she wants to continue their relationship. She shakes his hand and tells him they'll meet again. He says he'll keep waiting for her, and suggests they meet later to say goodbye with a peace kiss, but says the place isn't appropriate for that, and they both laugh. The next day at the company, Eun-ji's assistant tells her that her father has ordered her to take a break from work, but she refuses and insists on attending the meeting. When she arrives, she finds the door locked, so she calls from outside until her father orders them to open it. She walks in, apologizes to everyone, and the meeting begins about a plan to make their company the largest electronics firm in the field. But they need 120 billion won to achieve it. Min Young suggests selling the Amori Resort to a foreign company for the required amount, but Eun-ji refuses because the resort was the place where her mother once lived. Her father becomes furious and kicks her out of the meeting. Eun-ji calls Mario and tells him she wants to meet. She says she's in Japan, at the Amori Resort, and that her father and Janhee are planning to sell it. Janhee, meanwhile, is welcoming the buyer. She's the one in charge of the sale. Eun-ji tries to find another solution, so she checks the company's finances to see if she can sell any of their assets instead of the resort. But she can't find an answer, so she goes out to the villa garden, deciding not to give up, and falls asleep there until morning. In the morning, Mario arrives, picks her up, and throws her into the water to wake her up. He tells her that he's found the solution. Then he asks her to go to the company immediately, and when she arrives, she finds that they've already signed the contract, so she grabs it and tears it apart. Mario calls her and reveals the truth about the foreign company. It plans to use the resort for dangerous chemical experiments. Together, they manage to stop the sale. He asks her to meet him in 3 hours, and she goes to get ready to see him. But in the meantime, Mario gets a call from Janhee, who asks to meet him. He goes to her, intending to stay only 10 minutes. When they meet, she starts talking emotionally, expressing her regret and telling him he's a good man. He grows tired of her words and is about to leave when he hears her fall into the water. He can't ignore it, he jumps in after her, rescues her, and brings her back to the shore, reviving her until she regains consciousness safely. When he takes her home, she asks him to wait for her, not now, but when she reaches her goal, meaning when she becomes the company's director, then she'll come back to him. He doesn't know what to say, so he leaves. As he walks away, he remembers his appointment with Eun-ji, so he goes to her and finds her still waiting, asleep. He wakes her up, and their hearts begin to race as they look at each other. Elsewhere, Eun-ji's father's lawyer reviews the security footage and discovers the relationship between Jan-hee and Min-young. When Eun-ji returns to Korea, her father throws her out of the house and takes all her money because she caused massive losses by stopping the sale. Eun-ji decides to go to Mario. She calls him and tells him she's on her way, and he says he'll be waiting for her. But when she arrives, Jan-hee is already at his house. Jan-hee confesses her love for him, and they plan to pretend that she's kissing him when Eun-ji walks in, to ruin his relationship with her. But Mario surprises her by actually kissing her and taking a photo of it, then threatens her with the picture. At the same time, the lawyer sends Eun-ji a photo of Jan-hee and Min-young together. She decides to go see for herself what happened, and the lawyer tells her he won't inform her father, out of fear that the shock could harm him. The lawyer tells her that her father has agreed to let her return to work on the condition that she improves her performance and masters her job. At that time, Eun-ji began drinking heavily to the point that she no longer knew what she was doing. She talks with Maru and starts confessing her feelings to him, telling him that for the first time in her life, she has found someone who makes her want to give up everything just to be with him, that she has fallen in love with him and changed because of him, and that even the company no longer means anything to her. On his way back, Maru notices that she is sitting near the area where his house is located, so he decides to take her home with him. He feels guilty because he's deceiving her only to get revenge on Jae-hee. The next day, while the lawyer is reviewing the security cameras, he sees Maru with Eun-ji and recognizes the man to whom Jae-hee had given money, realizing that Maru and Jae-hee have known each other for a long time. At that moment, Jae-hee's brother, who is a criminal and has recently been released from prison, calls. He's not someone who jokes around. He says he's going to visit his sister, and we learn that he's actually heading to Maru's house, where he beats up Jae-gil, demanding to know Jae-hee's whereabouts. We then move to the lawyer, who gives Eun-ji an envelope and tells her to open it when she has time. She later meets Maru, opens the envelope, and discovers his relationship with Jae-hee, but she decides to pretend she doesn't know anything. Afterward, she goes to the lawyer and asks him to tell her everything he knows about Maru. Meanwhile, Maru goes to meet Jae-hee's brother to stop him from hurting her. When the man refuses, Maru starts beating him. When Eun-ji's father learns that his daughter is still seeing Maru and staying at his house, he orders Jae-hee to bring Eun-ji home and get Maru away from her by any means necessary. Jae-hee assumes that Maru has teamed up with her brother to harm her, so she decides to hurt him first. Later, Eun-ji sits with Maru and asks him that if he ever gets married, he should invite her to his wedding. Then she discovers that he has been playing with her feelings and doesn't care for her at all, so she leaves him. But as she's leaving, she runs into Jae-hee, who is on her way to see Maru, and faints. Jae-hee takes her into her car and sends men to Maru's house to beat him up. She demands that he sign a document promising never to see Eun-ji again and to leave the country. When he refuses, she threatens him by mentioning his sister. Maru then sends his sister away with his friend Jae-gil to keep her safe. As for Eun-ji, her father locks her inside the house with him until she decides to escape. She successfully flees the villa and goes to Maru, telling him that for the first time in her life, she has truly fallen in love, and that ever since he came into her life, he has become the most important thing in it. Maru hugs her, only to realize that Jae-hee has been watching them. The next day, Maru decides to go out to meet Eun-ji, but Jae-hee calls him and begs him to save her, claiming that her brother is attacking her and trying to kill her. She says this because Min-young told her that her husband has discovered her affair and that she should run away from home. When Maru calls her brother, he finds out that he never went to see her. He goes to her and tells her that she lied to him because she knew he would come to save her, and that she uses him every time. But she offers to leave her husband and live with him. Eun-ji overhears this, as Jae-hee was the one who told her where to come. Maru then tells Jae-hee that he no longer has any feelings for her and walks away. Maru leaves heartbroken and starts remembering their childhood, their life together, and all the beautiful memories they once shared, then bursts into tears. Later, Eun-ji goes to the place where she and Maru had agreed to meet, takes pictures of the spot, and sends them to him. Maru goes there to meet her, and she tells him that she loves him and wants them to go anywhere in the world together, promising to leave everything behind for him. But he tells her he doesn't care about her or love her, and that everything he did was part of his plan to take revenge on Jae-hee. Jae-hee then goes to confront her husband and confesses that she has been deceiving him and that she loved Maru. He is shocked, suffers a heart attack, falls from his chair, and dies. Jae-hee tries to call an ambulance, but Min-young stops her. The lawyer, who had been talking with Eun-ji's father before his death, forgives them because the phone line was still open and he heard everything. While Eun-ji is on her way home, she receives the news of her father's death. Devastated, she decides to end her life. She drives her car into another vehicle, causing an explosion and a major accident that kills several people. The lawyer threatens Min-young, saying he recorded everything and that they are responsible for Eun-ji's father's death, and that he'll hand the recording over to the police. But Min-young tells him that he has evidence proving that his father was actually the one who killed Eun-ji's father, and he threatens him with it. News of Eun-ji's father's death spreads, and no one can reach her or find out where she is. 11 months pass, and people begin to believe she's dead. Meanwhile, Maru returns to his old life of cons, but this time he doesn't scam anyone. Instead, he saves a man who was about to lose all his money to a fraudster and recovers it for him. Afterward, he invites the man to lunch and asks him for information about his company in exchange for money. The man gives him the information, but Maru deceives him. Later, that man's son comes to Maru's house, telling him that his father attempted suicide and is now in the hospital. Chako begs Maru to tell the son that he had nothing to do with it, but Maru insists that the man was foolish and weak, and that he'll never be able to get his revenge. Chako is shocked by what her brother has done. Maru did it to pay for his sister's medical treatment, all while struggling to cope with Eun-ji's disappearance. Jae-hee returns from abroad to find her brother waiting at the villa's gate, demanding money to continue gambling. She refuses, scolds him harshly, and slams the door in his face. She's furious because she hasn't been able to secure the position of company director, as Eun-ji is still missing and hasn't returned. As for Maru, he keeps remembering her and their conversations about their dream of getting married and living happily together. The next day, in Maru's neighborhood, Eun-ji appears with a friend. She goes back to the car to get something and notices a group of children drawing. She joins them and starts drawing too. At that moment, Maru steps outside. She writes Maru on her paper, and when one of the kids says the name aloud, Maru hears it and is stunned to see that it's Eun-ji. She tells him that she suffers from memory loss and that the only thing she has left in life is her camera, which holds a picture of the two of them together. She asks if they used to love each other, but he doesn't answer. Meanwhile, Jae-hee's brother is on his way to the neighborhood looking for Maru. Eun-ji's friend meets him and asks if he has seen her, but he denies it. After searching for her, she finds Eun-ji with Maru, who takes both of them to his house. There, her friend tells Maru that Eun-ji has forgotten everything she ever learned and asks him to help her reclaim her rights from Jae-hee. But Maru tells her he doesn't love Eun-ji and that taking pictures with her doesn't mean he has feelings for her. Suddenly, Eun-ji's brother walks in, so Maru quickly hides her, pulls her into his arms so she won't be seen, and starts talking to distract him until he finally leaves. Later, when Eun-ji and her friend return home, Eun-ji realizes that Maru has been lying to her and that he truly does love her. At the same time, Jae-hee's brother sees them together and later goes to his sister's company. Jae-hee, who has reached her breaking point because of Eun-ji and can no longer control the company, tells her brother to make Eun-ji disappear forever. He decides to deceive her. He goes to her house when she's alone and tells her that he's working with Maru, and that Maru wants to see her. Eun-ji is overjoyed, believing that Maru loves her and wants to meet her, so she goes with him. When her friend returns home and can't find her, she assumes Eun-ji went to Maru, so she heads to his house to ask about her, but Eun-ji isn't there. Maru realizes she's in danger, and the only person he can think of who might have done this is Jae-hee's brother. Maru decides to trace Jae-hee's brother's phone and manages to locate them. He goes there and starts chasing after them, eventually rescuing Eun-ji. However, he becomes angry with her, telling her that she's acting like a child and believes anyone who tells her anything. She apologizes and promises not to bother him anymore with her problems, then takes her car and drives home in tears. At that time, Jae-hee and the people around her learn that Eun-ji is still alive, which puts her life in danger. But Maru steps in to save her. He takes her from where she's hiding and brings her to live with him so he can protect her and stay by her side. Time passes after Eun-ji's disappearance, and Jae-hee assumes she has run away, believing that the path is now clear for her. She holds a press conference in front of all the company employees, announcing that she will take over as company president because Eun-ji hasn't shown up. She declares that since Eun-ji hasn't returned to work, it means she has abandoned the company. But in the middle of her announcement, Eun-ji suddenly walks in and says, "Surprise! Isn't it?" She tells them that she disappeared because she was sick and receiving treatment, and that she suffers from prosopagnosia, face blindness, though no one knows she also has amnesia. After finishing her speech, she publicly announces that her fiancé, Maru, will help her run the company until her health improves. This was part of an agreement between them. Eun-ji's assistant had told Maru that he would help Eun-ji regain the company in exchange for half of it, after which he would leave her. Eun-ji returns to the villa and starts interacting with everyone, trying to regain her memories. However, her personality has become much gentler than before, which makes Jae-hee suspicious. She also tries to push Maru away by accusing him of spying and leaking company information, but he is easily cleared of all charges. Later, Eun-ji visits her father's house in an attempt to recover her memories. She sits down to eat with Jae-hee but starts noticing her strange behavior and feels uneasy because she finds herself eating food she used to hate. Maru arrives just in time and takes Eun-ji outside, angering Jae-hee, who is furious that Maru still cares about Eun-ji. The next day, Jae-hee goes to Eun-ji's house and says, "Do you really think Maru is getting close to you for your sake?" At that moment, Eun-ji suddenly remembers that Maru once loved Jae-hee. Shocked, she faints and collapses to the floor. But Maru arrives just in time, saves her, and takes her to the hospital. When Maru leaves the hospital with her, Eun-ji begins asking him who he is, as her amnesia returns once again. He takes her to another house to live with him so he can care for her. But she can't stand him, she treats him harshly, refuses to eat or drink anything he gives her, and falls into a deep emotional depression. Despite all of this, Maru endures everything and stays by her side. During this time, Jae-hee and Min-young discover that Eun-ji has lost her memory. They decide to take advantage of her weakness and expose her condition to the company's investors. However, Eun-ji suddenly regains her memories about Maru and decides to return to work at the company. Jae-hee asks her to meet with an important client who wants to make a deal with the company. Eun-ji goes to the meeting at the scheduled time, remembering that this client's son was about to get married, so she congratulates him on the wedding. But to her shock, Jae-hee had actually sent her to a different client, one whose son had died 6 months earlier. The client becomes angry, leaves, and announces that he will never work with the company again. Jae-hee rejoices, thinking her plan has succeeded and that she can now accuse Eun-ji of incompetence and fire her. But Eun-ji quickly fixes the situation. She goes to the client, apologizes, and reveals the truth about Jae-hee's scheme. The client decides to continue doing business with the company and requests that Eun-ji personally manage his project. This news shocks Jae-hee when she hears it, so she decides to humiliate Eun-ji at a company meeting by announcing that she suffers from amnesia. But before she can speak, she receives a message warning her that if she opens her mouth, she will be accused of attempting to murder Eun-ji, and that Maru knows everything through her brother. Terrified, Jae-hee stays silent and says nothing, then later goes to see her doctor. Eun-ji's condition gradually begins to improve, and her doctor tells her that psychologically, she cannot recall the worst memory of her life, the day of the accident. He asks her to try to remember why she attempted suicide and whose car she had collided with. She starts searching online for information but finds nothing. So she asks her assistant, who does not tell her the full truth, revealing only that she hit a woman's car and that the company took care of her treatment. Still, she realizes that everyone has been lying to her. Determined, she requests to see the official file on the accident and is shocked to discover that the person she collided with was Maru. At that moment, all her memories return. She remembers everything that happened and feels intense hatred toward Maru, though she pretends to still have amnesia. She begins holding a meeting with the company's investors. Instead of telling them she has recovered, she tells them she still suffers from memory loss. Everyone agrees that she should announce her marriage to Maru to maintain her position, and preparations for the wedding begin. However, just before the wedding, her memories fully return, and she realizes that all her actions were motivated by revenge because she hated Maru for what he did to get closer to Jae-hee. Meanwhile, Maru, who truly loved her, decides to wait for her forgiveness and let her act as she wishes. This continues until the day of the wedding. Amid the preparations, Eun-gi exposes photos of Maru with Jae-hee, revealing their relationship and causing a huge scandal. Maru, knowing her desire for revenge, does not attend the wedding, thankfully. He then goes to her, takes her with him, and tells her that he knew she wanted revenge. He asks her to stop, so that both of them can be in their rightful places. Indeed, the wedding is cancelled. Eun-gi then begins to reconsider who was truly responsible for her father's death. She decides to ask her assistant if he knows anything. He tells her that her father was killed while on the phone with him, and that the killers were Jae-hee and her lover Min-young. Eun-gi's assistant informs Maru of the truth, and Maru realizes that the best course of action is to hand the recording he has to the police. The assistant urges Min-young to turn himself in before he is reported, but unfortunately, the lawyer is attacked in an assassination attempt and falls into a coma. At that moment, Eun-gi confirms that her father was indeed murdered. She goes to Maru for help, but he angrily tells her that she has nothing to do with the matter. Later, Maru comes to see her and apologizes for having made her life so difficult in the past. He tells her that she should have turned herself in after the first murder and that he would have waited for her release to marry her. The next day, Maru collapses, sick, and is rushed to the hospital for an urgent operation. When Eun-gi learns what has happened, she goes to the hospital to check on him, but she walks in without seeing him. Maru, informed by his friend that Eun-gi has arrived, rushes out to catch up with her. At that moment, it is discovered that Jae-hee sent Min-young to kill Eun-gi. Maru notices this, chases after Eun-gi, and protects her. He takes the stab wound for her without her noticing, confesses his love, and asks her to wait until the following day. He then returns to the hospital to treat his wound, but he develops color blindness and can no longer recognize people, so he decides to leave. 6 years later, Eun-gi decides to leave all of her father's business ventures after discovering that all of his wealth was illegitimate. She opens a restaurant in another city. Meanwhile, Maru leaves to continue his studies and becomes a renowned doctor. After Jae-hee turns herself in, confesses to all her crimes, and is sentenced to prison, Maru opens his clinic next to Eun-gi's restaurant. He acts as if he doesn't know her, yet she gradually grows close to him again. He is always nearby, even bringing her food from her own restaurant. In the end, Maru proposes to Eun-gi as a new person, and she believes him and accepts. And with that, our series concludes. Don't forget to support us by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel.